What's going on, people? Welcome to another edition of Gen Sports Corner. Back at you for May 19th, 2019. Going to have talk real briefly. Want to get into the heavyweight fight from last night. Talk a little bit about the NBA playoffs, and then wrap it up with a big announcement for the Philadelphia Eagles. Not necessarily a great one, but a big announcement nonetheless. Let me get a few more people into this live chat real quick before I get into things, because I'm pretty sure that there's some Eagles fans that are going to want to, hear updates about this. So let me get a few people into here, and some Cowboys fans that might be happy over the news, but it's not going to help them out too much. But big game coming up tonight between the Bucks and the Toronto Raptors, Game 3. So you guys want to make sure that you tune into that, because it's going to be a make or break game for these Raptors. To be honest with you, so let's talk about. Oh, let me get Manny in here real quick, because I know he's going to want to hear about water. Yeah, because I promised you I was going to do a video anyway, so might as well. You know what I mean? Since we're on the topic. Okay. All right. So last night there was a heavyweight matchup between Deontay Wilder and Dominic Breazeale for Deontay Wilder's heavyweight strap. I believe it was the WBC belt, since Anthony Joshua has the other three. I don't believe Tyson Fury has any. Yeah. So um, Anthony Joshua has three of the belts: the IBF, the WBO, and the WBA. Deontay Wilder has the WBC belt, and he faced off against Dominic Breazeale last night on Showtime. Also had a pretty good undercard. Gary Russell Jr. was on the undercard. He came out looking pretty sharp. I liked what I seen out of Gary Russell. Welcome to the podcast, Chris. I liked what I seen out of Gary Russell. Looked sharp, looked fast, looked crisp, and he got the fifth round knockout against a pretty he a tough opponent. He's not a high level opponent, but he's tough. He doesn't give up. He's always in your face, and he's a good stay busy opponent. And Gary Russell came out there, did what he was supposed to, got good work in there, and he systematically broke him down like he was supposed to. So that was a very good win for Gary Russell Jr. I liked what I saw out of him, and my boy X wants to see Gary Russell potentially fight Tank Davis. Now, I don't know how he's going to how he's going to perform at that weight class. Gary Russell's, I guess he's at about a $125, $128, something like that. Going up to a $130 and a $135. I'm not sure how he'll do at that weight class. He has the speed to be a problem for anybody, but I don't know if he has the power to keep a Tank Davis off of him for 12 rounds, or to be able to put him down, put him away, before 12. So we'll see. And then there was another fight on the zone earlier with Inoue. He's a really good fighter. I believe he's at 122 pounds. Really good fighter. And he got the knockout. He got the stoppage. So that was a really good fight. And then the main event, Deontay Wilder and Dominic Breazeale. Now, this wasn't a fight that I was really looking forward to, because honestly, I wanted to see Deontay Wilder step into the ring, if not in a rematch with Tyson Fury, then in a matchup with Anthony Joshua over on the zone. Because he received an offer not too long ago from Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua and their team for a 3-fight deal for $100 million. Now, what X was explaining to me about the deal was they offered to give Wilder $20 million for a tune-up fight, then $40 million for a fight with Joshua, and then I guess possibly another $40 million for a rematch with Joshua, or another opponent, I guess maybe like Tyson Fury or whatnot. And that seemed like a really good deal to me, because I understand that you want to get the most for your worth, but Deontay Wilder doesn't have the name recognition, I believe, to be making demands like he should be getting a huge chunk of the pie in terms of pay-per-view and, revenue at the gate. He should make his name and his legacy off of fighting and possibly beating Anthony Joshua. And then once that 3-fight deal is up, then you can renegotiate your next deal and say, okay, I'm the man now. I'm the A side. Come talk to me. These are my terms. Take it or leave it. Then you can have that mindset. But right now, and don't get me wrong, I like what he's done in his last 3 fights. Not necessarily the Breazeale fight because I didn't think he was a top contender. But with Luis Ortiz, big win. And then another banger against Tyson Fury. I mean, those were like 2 Fight of the Year candidates. So he's been on a roll finally with top-notch competition, but he really needs to capitalize on fighting Anthony Joshua. Because truth be told, in the lead up to that Tyson Fury fight, the crazy part was, Tyson Fury was walking down the streets of New York, and he was just asking random people, hey, do you know who Deontay Wilder is? And I would say 2 out of every 10 people he asked actually knew who Deontay was. I mean, people really had no clue who he was, but more people knew who Tyson Fury was, and Tyson Fury isn't even from the United States. Like, how you gonna let a dude from the UK come over to your country and more people know him than you? That just tells you something about where Deontay Wilder's brand is at right now. It's not bad, but he really needs to have that big fight against the Joshua. Because I remember turning on a Golden State game earlier this year, and they had Anthony Joshua on the big screen. They panned down to all the stars on the sideline, and Anthony Joshua, they panned to him, and everybody's like, oh, okay, that's Anthony Joshua. People know who he is. So until people know who you are, you have to earn that right to be able to be a big boy at the negotiating table. That's just what it is. So I'm not necessarily saying he lost his pen, but I'm saying that he lost his pen. And not necessarily because he's scared, but because I think that he just kind of overvalues himself right now. And he priced himself out, not out of fear, but because he just overestimates his value at this point. And that's human nature. I get it. I don't agree with it. I think he needs to be a little more realistic, but I get it. But he has been fighting really, really top-notch competition. So, as much as I criticize, I still do think he's on the right path. So, back to last night's fight. I had him getting a knockout in 1 round. So did my man Craig. He was being generous and gave him, 2 rounds. But, Breazeale, I saw him fight Anthony Joshua already. And when he got into the ring with Joshua, he's Breazeale is 6'7", 250. But he throws those combinations sloppy. Those combinations are sloppy Joe every time. Nothing sharp about it at all. So, he has the power, but if you don't have the crispness and the skill to really throw off Deontay Wilder, he's just going to sit back and load up with that right hand, and he's going to knock you out. That's what I thought was going to happen, and that's exactly what happened in the first round. I think it was about 2 minutes into the first round. He stumbled Breazeale one time early in the round. Breazeale came back with a little 1-2. I was like, okay, you got a little fire in them hands, but then Deontay loaded up with that right, and he threw it with the force of 10,000 Thor hammers, man, and just dropped this man. One hitter quitter. Breazeale couldn't beat the 10 count. Hell of a knockout. Not saying that I'm overly impressed with the result, but he did what he was supposed to, and hopefully this is a bridge fight to get over to fight Joshua. Or I think he's going to rematch with Ortiz, which I'm fine with too. So we'll see what happens on that front. But I hope that this eventually leads to Joshua or Tyson Fury after this Luis Ortiz rematch. So that's pretty much it on the boxing front. There were some good fights in MMA last night as well. Some submissions. Really good championship matchup. I really liked what I saw. But let's get into these NBA playoffs real quick. It's not too much to say beyond... Now my prediction originally was either the Sixers or the Bucks coming out of the East. and the Denver Nuggets coming out of the West. Now, obviously, I'm already wrong on the Nuggets, and right now it looks like the Warriors are going to possibly sweep Portland. I had Portland at least getting one game out of this, but it looks like Golden State is going to go back to the finals. They're taking care of business, and word on the street is Damian Lillard may or may not have separated ribs from Game 3, which is not good for the Blazers. Rip City is in crisis mode right now. And then flipping over to the East, see, I had the Sixers or the Bucks coming out of the East, and whoever came out of the East, I had winning the title because I felt as though, and still feel as though, the Sixers and the Bucks in particular match up well against anybody out of the West because of their presence down low in the post. You can either throw it down to JoJo, and the Warriors and the Blazers have nothing to deal with him, or you can throw it down to Giannis or have him take it to the rim and nobody has anything to deal with them. The only people that can deal with Giannis or Embiid are each other. Which is why I felt as though a Sixers-Bucks matchup would have been much more exciting and more of an even matchup, just style-wise. I'm not saying that the Raptors aren't a very elite team, but style-wise, they don't match up well against the Bucks. And it took a last-second buzzer beater at home in Game 7 in Toronto to beat the Sixers. You know, that should tell you something. And I expected the Bucks to come in here. Now, I ain't expect them to sweep them, but I felt as though over the course of 7 games, the Raptors ain't had nothing for the Bucks. And that's the way it's looking right now. Giannis is doing what he wants. Kawhi is getting his, but they have no answer for Giannis right now. And I don't think that they will come up with an answer for Giannis in the foreseeable future. So I believe the Bucks are most likely going to match up with the Warriors. And I have the Bucks winning it all. I would have loved to, have seen the Sixers go to the finals and possibly win it all against Golden State, but I felt as though the East would produce the winner of the finals, and I believe that the Bucks will face the Warriors, and the Warriors will have nothing for the Greek Freak. Draymond Green, excellent defensive player, unique defensive player, stretch four, but he ain't got nothing for Giannis. And the Bucks are a team, they consistently score twos. And then they can mix in 3-pointers here and there. Once they get you worried about them taking it to the block, then Giannis can just kick it out to Michael Brogdon or Middleton or Ersan Ilyasova or Lopez. And then you got issues. So that's the way I see the playoffs playing out right now. The draft is coming up. We'll see what happens there. A lot of things to talk about. I'll be talking about the draft on Tuesday on Playmakers Radio Live. Make sure you download the app. Make sure you tune in every Tuesday, 7 o'clock. We're always talking about the latest and greatest in both music and sports entertainment. And last but not least, sad to say, but Chris Long is retiring from the NFL, retiring from the Eagles after 11 seasons in the NFL. He was a key role player on that Super Bowl run, and we will never forget him. As soon as I saw him come out to training camp and stand next to Fletcher Cox, and you just see their names on the back of their jerseys of them standing side by side, just off of that alone, I knew it was going to be a special season, and I knew that that guy gets it. So I want to say farewell, Chris Long. We appreciate everything you've done here. You always got a place in Philly. You're always welcome. And we appreciate you for everything you did. And you brought something to the city that we never had before. And once you win the hearts of Philadelphia fans, we embrace you as our own. So, happy trails and whatever you do in your post-football career, man. Much respect. With that, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm about to go see John Wick 3 for the second time because it was that awesome. Just when you think that you can't come up with more ways to kill an assassin in the movie, John Wick comes up with about 100 new different ways to do so. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, go check it out. One of the movies of the year so far. I mean, right up there with Avengers Endgame, to be honest with you. So yeah, go check it out. With that, I'm going to wrap up this video. I will be back next Sunday with another live stream talking about whatever happened with the NBA playoffs and, you know, who's in the finals at that point. Yeah, that's it for now. So if you have things you want to hear me talk about, leave it in the comments. And as always, I appreciate it. Salute.